This is the DM commentary for segment 11. I'm Chris Perkins.
You know that it's blast area. It's got a it can blast out in a 5x5 square in front of it. So
if you put his mouth here, would this funnel it, or would it just still be 5?
No, it would just sort of fill that area.
So marching order down the grotto.
Yeah.
Who's first?
I'll go first because
I'm the dude.
Easy. I'll scope it out.
All right. So the rest of you are kind of camped up at the top while the drow.
Once again, the party is sending Bluebell into what could be his certain demise.
You can keep going through here. When you get down here, you start to see it becomes a little bit colder, a little bit icier, a few more icicles on the roof. I'd like you to make a perception check to see if you notice anything. That's under your skill list.
I'm not reading anything in the way of flavor text here. I'm just making up the descriptions as I go and doing my level best to keep the descriptions brief.
Looks like it was naturally formed, probably through
DM tip number 7, avoid talking too much. Say what you need to, then let the players react and ask questions.
Although it does continue on off the map.
I'm sure it's more of the same.
The game isn't about, showing the players how cool my descriptive text is or how detailed my dungeon environments are. It's about them interacting with the environment,
When you get here,
discovering things about the environment, and then lamenting the fact that they're not back in a pub having a strong dwarven ale.
swoops past you, actually. And as it goes past, you see it's got great bat-like wings and a long tail that ends with this sort of flat blade.
This is the Bat Cave encounter.
It flies past you and
It's meant to be a
slashes
fast
at you with that
fight.
blade, and the creature looks just like this.
In terms of 4th edition dungeon design, I wouldn't consider it a complete encounter. Essentially, it's just one monster,
22 against your armor class,
and
your AC.
complicated by the fact that there's a lot of uneven terrain that the characters have to wrestle with. And the bat has a power that's a flyby attack, which lets it move, attack, and then keep moving.
Yes.
Okay, we got to get down there again.
Other direction right now.
And then after it hits you, it keeps
Plus, I just thought the Shadow Hunter bat was a cool-looking mini, and I was looking for cool-looking minis to put on the table.
except to you, you can see it. But it is out of your sword range.
It also shows up very clearly on camera. It's got its own very unique profile.
The right side of your character sheet, sort of in the middle. There is a list of your weapons.
Scimitar and longbow.
There you go. You got a longbow.
baby.
Did you find the shield yet?
I must say that we brought in a group of guys, filmmakers, to tape this, and they had 3 cameras. Some of them were mounted, and they were awesome. They're completely invisible here, but they were all around us, and they captured so many cool expressions and moments. I am just blown away.
No, 4. We got to roll off a tie.
Oh.
Directly above our heads is this big white ball, sort of suffusing the entire scene with this soft light.
Well, the bad news is that this thing comes diving down from the ceiling again, slashes at you with its tail, and flies back up to the ceiling over here.
Me?
Yep.
You're the one who stirred this thing.
Me? It's attacking me?
It hits you
But I'm a drow! 10 points of damage. That hurts.
I begged you to let me go down there.
Then it clings up on the ceiling and sort of nestles itself among the icicles. And it is now Ranrock's turn.
Okay. Putting our petty squabbles aside, I am going to. I want to get my. Or do I need to get my javelin out, or can I just attack with it if I get close?
If you get close enough, you can just attack with it. You can draw it as you move.
Among his many credits, Zeb is also known for writing comics, so
Nothing, hopping down does not slow you down.
he's got a great sense of comic timing.
4, 5, 6.
Okay. Make
Do
a
I-
perception check to see if
Okay.
you can see it. It hides well.
6.
No, you don't see it at all.
Where'd it go? Where'd who go?
You do have an ability, all of you do, which is called readied actions, which is if you want to.
All right. A new rule introduced here, readied actions.
Okay.
So you can say, when I see
I am
creature,
personally terrible
I will
at
have
keeping track of readied
javelin at
actions
the
and
ready,
when they go off.
and
I rely heavily on my
scanning
players
the roof
to remind me
for
when
this
their readied
thing, as soon
actions
as it
should go
charges
off.
film, I will hurl my javelin.
Awesome. The Goliath goes next.
Here it's not so bad because there aren't a whole lot of readied actions going off here. But in my home game on Monday and Wednesday night, which I run for 2 different groups, each of those groups has 8 players in it. And if 2 or more of them decide to use readied actions at any given time, I'm like, okay guys, you just got to keep track of this for me. If something happens and you have a readied action, just let me know when you're going to take it. Because I am not going to keep that stuff in my head.
You can make a perception check. Your
It
perception
is not the DM's responsibility to be the expert in all the rules or to keep track of everything that the players want or plan to do. The DM needs to rely on the players for some of that information, and I think that's perfectly fine. I've played with DMs who are not rules experts at all, who didn't even have really that great a grasp of the 4th edition rules, but they ran great games, and they trusted that the players around them would sort of fill in the holes.
Is there any place you'd rather be for the rest of
Hits
Not
the
hit it
ceiling,
with 15, we might be in trouble.
comes and falls back to the ground.
Do I have it still?
You have other javelins.
Okay.
You know, in retrospect, why would there even be an ornate hall unless there was something in it?
I was saying it's a tomb. It's like this ornate thing with like. They would have buried it in
Yeah, guys, maybe we should have taken the hall.
proper.
Steel diamonds, save us.
Is that you or your lesson talking?
Tom, it was your idea.
I'm going to remember all the
No,
times.
it's perfect.
blue balls,
Absolutely
colors,
perfect.
Screens.
I can't tell you blue balls. It is a well-known fact that no D&D character name is sacred.
Word.
Given sufficient time and incentive, players can twist any name into something perverted.
Can spend a healing surge and regain additional hit points equal to your charisma modifier, which is +5. You also slide the target 1 square. So good news is you get hit points. Bad news is I'm pushing you down the hall.
Well, with a slide, you could also pull him back if you wanted to.
Oh, I'll pull you towards me.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So you get back your healing surge value, which you said was 6, plus bonus 5 hit points.
As sort of a throwaway there, I kind of explained the slide rule.
And you
Slide rule. The slide mechanic as opposed to the push or pull mechanics and the subtle difference between them.
So now I have 2 surges left,
Okay,
but I'm up to 17 hit.
well done.
In choosing to traverse the cavern instead of the mortared hall,
On the heels of steel
the
diamond.
players avoided an encounter with a pair of frozen undead dwarves.
And once again,
And that's something we're not going to see in this podcast because they ultimately just chose not to go that way.
I believe is a melee
Essentially, there
attack.
were these gates that were blocking the tunnel ahead, and they were controlled by these 2 dwarves encased in ice. And the levers controlling the doors were also encased in ice. And as the characters pass through the doors, they enter a short hallway with another set of doors in front of them. And the dwarves seal them in. And then it becomes a challenge of dealing with the undead dwarves within this confined space that is incredibly cold,
Cast Cloud of Darkness,
painfully cold.
which would blind the creature entirely.
But, alas, it was not meant to be. Instead, they fought the bat.
And we can then
And
launch
that's okay.
attacks into this cloud.
Is blinding a bat-like creature?
As a DM, I don't get upset if the players don't go in the way I would expect them to. I try not to over-prepare so that I'm not wasting a lot of work, but I do like to have a certain amount of preparation done. If they don't, I find
Remain in place until the end of your next turn.
this is I think a pretty useful piece of advice. But if you spend time creating something, an encounter, and for whatever reason the players end up avoiding it,
Probably best.
don't force them into the encounter. It's probably best to say, okay, I'm just going to hang on to this encounter and try to find a place further down the road in the adventure to throw it back in. In some cases, I make encounters and the characters avoid them, and then
Can I just launch?
levels later, several levels
And this ability,
later,
let's see what it does.
the encounter gets finally inserted into the campaign. And it might be I need to change the stat blocks around a bit or make the monsters a little tougher for it to work. But if I take time to make that encounter, damn straight I'm going to use it at some point.